Hey everyone, and welcome to the Infinite Respawn podcast. I'm Chicken. Ooh.
I'm Oak Tree.
I'm Grif. I'm pretty sure.
Are you okay, buddy?
Yeah,
You okay?
right?
I'm good. We stammer every now and then. We're all human, right?
Yeah. I mean, we've only been saying the name of the podcast for like how long?
It was
I didn't know
earlier
if he
this
was
year
doing
that
like a quick Porky Pig impression or what was going on
it
real
was
quick.
earlier this year that I completely forgot the intro entirely.
It's true.
So,
Words are hard sometimes.
oh man, tell me about it.
Parent brain. You got dad brain.
Well,
Sometimes it literally just go. You just hear a wind and the words disappear. You're like, oh, shit, what was I saying?
right in the middle of something too. Something that you say all the time. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, Mike is not here. He'll be back next time. He's attending a birthday
time.
party,
Next time.
which is
Ooh.
at Dave and Buster's, which I've never been to, but I understand is fun. So,
It's a giant adult arcade.
I mean, like I said, I understand that it's fun. I've never been there. I've just heard. So, you know. Is it Chuck E. Cheese-esque though? Because they have food too. So like, is the food kind of garbage and you go for the arcade?
The
No,
food's,
the
the food's not
okay.
garbage. It's okay. It's not like garbage pizza.
It's not Chuck E. Cheese. Okay?
It's not Chuck E. Cheese,
It's-
like Applebee's
no.
level.
Maybe.
Probably go about there. Maybe
I
a
would
little
say
bit,
that.
a little bit better.
I've never been to one. I guess
But like
one of
I
these
said,
days.
it's like an adult arcade place where they've got a lot of games, arcades, and I think they've got a bar and like
They do.
place you can hang out. Yeah, like it's a much better environment if you're an adult and you want to go to an arcade, something like that. This is for you.
Okay.
Figure it. Dave and Buster's owns Hooters, so it's like that level of food quality is exactly the same for both of them.
Okay, so it really
But
is
it's
like
like-
on par with like Applebee's.
Yes.
Chain,
Yeah.
national chain, fast.
They probably have
Casual
like
family
one or
dining.
two items that are really good, and everything else is the most mediocre thing you've ever tasted.
Tastes like
You know,
mediocrity.
Yes.
Glad I paid $25 for it.
Yes.
It's better than paying $25 to get a Chuck E. Cheese pizza.
Okay, touche. I've also never been to Chuck E. Cheese, so only relying on things that I've heard. I know. What? Sorry, it's weird. Anyway, about the actual podcast stuff. So, I know we don't have a ton of news, but I imagine that at least one of the things that we have to talk about, we'll be talking about for a minute.
Yeah.
Because you know it's what everybody's talking about.
I do want to talk about because I did play Exo Primal. I played a couple of demos. What was the other? Liza P. I tried Liza P.
What do you
And
think?
For a Dark Souls-esque game, it is super good. And I was going to complain that the dodge mechanics felt clunky and they just weren't as responsive as I wanted them to be. And before the podcast, I actually read that the developers were like, "We hear you. We are working on fixing the dodge mechanics because we understand that they did not feel as smooth as they should." It's like, thank you. I'm glad I'm not going crazy. A lot of people had the same issue. There was just a little clunkiness to the dodge because I felt like I was doing it right, but he just wasn't as responsive as I needed him to be. Or them, they, whatever. Pinocchio. I really like the aesthetic of the game. It is
It's so pretty.
It's very
is
nice.
Such a good looking game.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
I love the idea. Like I said before, I love the idea of retelling this story and doing it in a way that's just unique to this.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I wish that I liked Souls-like games because I wish that I could play it, but at least I'll get to watch Chicken play it.
Oh yeah, it's definitely going on the playlist for sure.
They're supposedly supposed to have a version. Now, keep in mind, it's still a Souls-like game. They're supposed to have a version, I think, that is closer to a story mode version to where it's less difficult. So if that happens on release, it might be where you're okay with playing it at that point.
The only time that I'm okay with playing something on the, like, just tell me a story setting.
It's similar to what they did. If I had to guess, it's going to be similar to what they did with Darksiders 3 because they went the Souls style with that one too, where it's much more dodgy, action, punishing oriented. And then people complained because they wanted to be accessible. So they're like, okay, we're going to put in a more hack and slash version of the game where it's not as punishing or dodgy and, more hack and slash. So they might offer that since, Dark Souls has a reputation. It's a Dark Souls game. Punishing, period. What you get. So this one is from a different developer, so they might take a different route to it. But it's fun. It's like a mix of Bloodborne and Sekiro.
I can see that.
You liked both of those a lot, so
Yeah, because you're like you've got the mechanical arm and you get attachments to it, and different styles of attachments, which is kind of neat. And you also have stealth kills, and like they definitely took a lot of inspiration from software. You could tell almost every aspect of it. But yeah, it runs smooth. It's really fun. Gameplay is solid. Boss fights are fun. Took me like 7 attempts to kill the big guy, the boss one, and then I got to the hotel, and I was like, all right, I'm just gonna sit here because I don't want to keep playing it and get too into it and
be sad.
Be
because you
upset.
And
can't.
have to, and then be really
Like,
sad.
I'm gonna cut off where I want to end it, and then I'll pick it back up when the game actually releases.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was cool. I really enjoyed it. I want to see how the story plays out and the rest of the gameplay.
Well, I started playing a game that Chicken was like, "You'll really like this one, I bet." And I was like, I'm kind of in the middle of like something else, but fine. Well, the other something else was Dragon Age. It's like not like I've not played it ever or something. But he's like, "You'll like Dragon's Dogma." I was like, "Okay, fine." I do really like it. I hate it when he's right, because he's like, "See, I told you, I know what you like." It's like, stop. You're right, but stop it. I don't like it when you're right. But I do, because then I get to play games like this. But that game is not punishing like a Souls game. It's just one of those games where it's like, you're level 15. What level's this quest I picked up? Fuck around and find out. Go forth. See if you can do this. And if you can't, your pawns are like, there's no shame in running away. Your party members. So yeah, if you're doing something that's absolutely stupid, they will just start telling you that. It's like, all right, guys, I get it. But they will also sometimes arbitrarily saying that when you're absolutely destroying camps of stuff too. So I don't know. It's not the best indicator.
I can't wait till the second one because they announced it and they're working on it and whatnot. And how smart the AI is in this game and how well they learn. I can't wait to see like how the AI develops into this next game.
Well, I did have to Google a thing today though. I was doing this quest and I was like, I've gotten wrecked like 4 times in a row. And one of my dudes was like, "Are we actually even hurting it?" And I started to wonder if we were. No, you're supposed to run away from that. And I was like, oh. Okay.
And try different things, try different strategies if you come up against different things. Like some of the lizard things, you got to cut off their tails. Or some people who are in like full armor and whatnot, you've got to poison them. Or if you set them on fire, they take more damage because, if you catch somebody who's in full armor on fire, they're going to burn inside.
Armor.
They're going to burn inside. So I got a couple of daggers that have oil on them, so whenever you're attacking, you can oil them, and then your people will either set your weapons on fire or shoot them with a fireball, which will catch them on fire easier. And I've watched a couple of the lizards I've caught on fire will actually run into the water and roll around in the water to put themselves out.
Yeah, the enemies are smart too sometimes, and you're like, oh.
But the good thing about that is that my mage, when they go into the water, will hit them with lightning and blast them, so... Not only are they smart, my people are smart too.
And you get to pick your party. Like, you make your main party member, and then the 2 other party members that you need, you can go to these things called rifts and pick up ones that other people have made. So it's their main party member that you're now borrowing. I pick them up a lot of times based on aesthetic at this point. I'm not even going to lie to you. The last set that I picked up was a wizard guy that was named Gandalf, and they had actually managed to make him look like Gandalf. So I took him. And then my other little friend was a lady that was basically the height of a toddler and wearing a party hat. And I took her because she was a tiny person wearing a party hat. I was like, I'm in, let's do it. I just swapped them out earlier today, though, because I out-leveled them.
Basically, you got a wizard and a hobbit.
Yeah, kind of, yeah. But I had to swap them out because I out-leveled them, and I was like, I need a mage. And all of the mages that kept coming up were, I guess it's like some of the best mage armor for the level that I'm at. But they have this like nice jacket, like duster jacket and everything, but it's kind of unbuttoned. And they have like because most of them are ladies, they have like a bra and then panties and then lace-up boots. So the lace-up boots and panties combo is apparently the best armor that you can get at the level that I'm at. And I'm like...
I mean, can you blame them?
Okay.
I mean,
Okay. All right then. All of the the ones like the rogues and the warriors, they're all like really badass armor and cool like leather outfits and whatnot, and then this mage lady, and I'm like, swap, 3 more come in, they're all wearing the same thing. I was like, okay, I guess that's okay. So I took the one that is wearing that outfit and a monocle because she had a monocle. So
the first time she went into the rift, she saw my original Grif character.
yeah,
Because when I played back in 2016 and I got to level 34, I made Grif as my, like, I had Chicken as my main character and then Grif as my main pawn. And I made her, and she was my warrior, my tank warrior. And she was the first pawn that Grif saw when she walked in. She was like, oh, this was named after me. And I was like, oh my God.
She's a tank lady, but the thing is, she comes up and she's carrying a one-handed sword and a shield in a pretty princess dress. I'm like, okay.
It is an incredible set of armor, too. Like, the princess dress is powerful. She got a flaming sword that's permanently enchanted with fire and a very powerful shield and a crown.
Yeah, well, she's a lot higher level than me, too, so if she's in my party, she's just going to destroy everything.
She is a beast.
Which, after the last thing that I just did, I'm kind of considering it.
But yes, Dragon's Dogma, incredible game. It was on sale for $5.
Yeah, I bought it
100% worth it.
Yeah, so.
And Dragon's Dogma 2 is going to be coming out.
Yeah, I remember seeing the trailer for it. Yeah, soon. It just says soon. Anytime it says that, I would expect like 3-4 years.
Yeah, well, either way, the game is just an incredible RPG if you wanted to play it. It's more akin to Skyrim style instead of like Dragon Age style, where you're more linear based. Like Dragon's Dogma is just kind of open world.
Yeah, Dragon's Dogma. Let me tell you the selling feature for this for me. I was like, okay, I made it to the main town finally after like 12 hours of gameplay. And I took a quest arbitrarily off of a message board, and I took a few more quests whilst I was still in the message board screen. And when I got out of the message board screen, I looked next to me and there was a guy standing there as an addition to my party. I didn't realize I had taken an escort quest, and this dude wanted to go middle of nowhere place I had never been yet. And I was like, I have to take him because I can't get rid of him. Cool. Went to a place, fought my way through somewhere I shouldn't have been, spent too long out at night, and there's like a lot of extra bad shit that comes out at night. Listened to my people tell me it's okay to run away way too often.
It's okay to run away.
Told them no because I had to drop this guy off. Like, you guys shut your mouth. We're going to die 37 times just to get this dude wherever it is that he wants to go. Got almost
to save all the time.
Yeah, right. Got almost the place he wanted to go and realized there was a motherfucking dragon that I had no hope of fighting in the field next to the place that he wanted to be. Just had to run. I was just like, I ran. I told my party to run with me, and we managed to go through a crack in the wall that the dragon couldn't fit in. I was like, all right, so I started this at level like 12. I'm now level 16. And I think I just completed a quest that I should not have been doing. Okay, well, I'll play it again.
Did you see the griffin out of the castle? Like,
nope.
As soon as you came out? Okay,
I haven't seen it yet.
Random spawned world bosses is one of the funnest things in the world. Like, you will sometimes be like, cool, oh my God, I shouldn't be fighting this thing. First, I've never seen it again, but the first time I walked out of the main city, when I played the game the first time, there was a griffin circling around out in the fields, and all my pawns were like, look, Arisen, a griffin in the sky. And I was like, what? Motherfucker comes swooping down and landed in front of me, and I was like, I got this. Started fighting it, and it, like, I grabbed onto it to start attacking, and it fucking flew off into the air, and I was like, well, this isn't good. Started attacking it, and it fucking threw me off, and I fell and died. Never saw it again.
Yeah. Yeah, the
It's
dragon one,
completely
I knew that I wasn't supposed to be there because when we accidentally aggroed the dragons, whilst I was fighting a camp of hobgoblins, so I was kind of busy already. The dragon's like, hey, I want to get in on this party, came over there and literally did one flame breath and one-shot every single one in my party, including myself. I was like, yeah, I don't think I was supposed to fight that.
Nice.
Yeah. It's been fun. Although you do have to keep in mind the age of the game with that one. If you want to go back and play it, I would recommend it, but it is in that era of like 360 PS3 games where a lot of the color palette is samey. So it's a lot of like brown and gray and like some green trees and stuff, but mostly brown and gray. So as long as you can power through that, that's fine.
That's one of those games that are heavily focused on gameplay over everything else. It's like gameplay is the best part of that game. Period. Like everything else is
also
good,
not
but the
hand-holdy.
gameplay.
So if
Yeah,
you want a
definitely not
game that is
hand-holding.
not going to tell you when you should be doing things and you just need to figure it out yourself, that's it. Do it.
Mhm.
It's like, I guess I should learn some skills. I'm level 16. I should probably get something, right?
Your
It's like,
vocations, you have to go and learn and put them on your. Yeah, they do not
I
teach
was
you.
thinking about it, so I didn't do it until level 16. And I was like, oh, now I have these abilities that I can.
I mean,
good
I'd be
thing
interested
is-
to see what they do now, since that
Oh,
one's from the
man.
Xbox 360 era,
Yeah.
and now like, because think of tutorials how they've kind of evolved
Mhm.
and been added into the games. Are they going to do that, or is it gonna? It could be an opt out, right?
Did they
Just
stick
like it is
you with
a lot
the
of
fuck
games.
around and find out method that's
Yeah.
now?
I
Yeah.
bet it'll be more streamlined to kind of like ease you into it, to tutorial you while you're in the game, instead of it just being like nothing but pop-ups. It'll be like, oh yeah, go talk to this person and then they'll get you this, or here, I've got this for you to do and this teaches you how to do that and things like that. So
Yeah.
they're a lot better about it these days.
Oh, definitely.
But yeah, it was fun. He was
Definitely.
right. I liked it.
Mhm.
Why is this exclamation point on my my map right now? Let me go check that out.
Yeah.
Oh, in order for you to be able to basically progress, past the level of 3, well shit, I'm a 15. You need to go meet with this person.
I also still haven't. It said it when I first encountered a person with a quest. It was like, oh, the color of the bubble on top of their head is what, a quest that you're on and they have information for you, or this color means it's a person you need to accept a quest for. I don't actually know which one's which. I think green is you've completed this quest, talk to this person, but there's red and yellow, and I can't decide if yellow is take this quest I have for you, or if it's red that means I have a quest, or because the other one means I have information for you. So I just talked to everybody that has a thing over their head.
Green
I
is
don't
pick
know.
up a quest. Yellow is you owe me a quest. Red is I have a tip for a quest.
You owe me a quest? Oh, like I have a turn in.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay.
Yellow is turn into me. Red is I've got a tip for one of your quests. Doesn't tell what you want. And blue is turn in the quest here.
So what's the difference between the yellow and the blue?
It's green, isn't it?
Yellow
green.
is you turn. You've already picked up my quest, but you're not done with it.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you're on my quest and I have something
You're
I can
on
say
my
about
quest.
it.
So
Okay.
you're
Yeah.
on my quest. Blue is you're done with my quest.
Yes,
Okay.
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. I've just been like, hey, you got a thing over your head. I'll talk to you for a
and-
second.
And the cool thing is, your pawns can get red stuff or red box over their heads too, and you can talk to them if they know. If you've picked up a pawn that knows something about the quest you're doing, they can give you.
Oh,
tips
you
too.
want to know what that is though? Like sometimes. Okay,
Sometimes-
I just did the quest at the Pawns Guild, and it was the one where I had to run at the end of it, and I ran out of the place. And at the end, like once I got out of the load screen into the place that was safe, the two auxiliary pawns both had the red things over their head, and I was like, oh, they've got something important to say. And so I clicked on the mage lady, and she's like, I have learned things about this enemy. I was like, do you want to share with the class? Mm-mm. I have learned things. So I was
Which
like,
means
this
your pawn
is
probably
useless.
learned it too.
Get out of my party.
Right.
That was my toddler girl. She's out now.
Oh.
Replaced by Miss Monocle. Anyway.
Miss Monocle.
Obviously, you can tell I've had some fun. I haven't gotten to play it as much as I'd like, because I have my own toddler and then, responsibilities and friends and shit, so...
Ugh.
Right?
He said, ugh, to friends.
Ugh. Ugh, the friends and shit.
Man. Anyway,
Oh, God.
we want to talk about some, important stuff?
No, I wanted to talk about Exoprimal too.
Oh, yes, go ahead. Sorry,
you
my
didn't.
bad. I thought you did.
Capcom's dinosaur mech game. I had no idea what to expect going into it. It was just an open beta, so I was like, all right, cool, I'm going to throw it up. I'm going to download it and throw it up and see what it's all about. It's like Anthem meets Killing Floor plus Left 4 Dead.
Okay, I had figured out already that it was going to be similar to Killing Floor in respect to, and I guess same thing for
Also
Left
with
4 Dead.
with a sprit of Overwatch.
Yeah,
What?
don't forget to, splash that in a little bit.
Okay. All right. So
Now you're gonna tell me all these genres.
There's 18 different mechs, from tanks to damage to supports. All the different mechs. All of them come with their own ultimate, regular abilities, special abilities, and gameplay style. It's like, oh, okay, that's a lot. Because when it first did the tutorial, I was like, okay, you get to try this one, and this one. I was like, oh, cool. And then it's like, you could try any of the 17. And I was like, what the fuck, 17?
You mean what now?
Holy shit. There's like 5 supports, 8 tanks, and fucking 10 DPS. It's like, wow. That's a lot of variety. Oh my god. So I was like, okay, that's pretty fucking cool. So I went ahead and jumped into a game. It's a PvPvE style game, which is my absolute favorite genre.
Right.
Okay. You load in with both teams. There's also a story mode too, which is really fucking neat. Like the whole tutorial is a story mode base before you get to it, and it sets up the war games of it, which makes sense in the world, which I give a lot of credit for. Just play the opening story. If it goes in the beta, just play the opening story, and you're like, wow, that's pretty neat. Also, shit. Well, what's his name? Guilty Spark. There is a Guilty Spark in this one. He is a crazy little AI robot that pretty much runs everything. But
so
yeah,
quite literally Guilty Spark.
Yeah, pretty much. It's like Guilty Spark.
Yeah. He started telling me, and I was like, oh, yeah, okay, accurate.
So you join into a game. Your 2 teams of 5 each are on the pedestals. The AI guy is talking to you, tells you that it's time for the war games. You get teleported into a random battleground. It's okay, cool. So all 10 people spawn on the same square. You can only see the silhouettes of the other team. So you're charged to go to the first event. So both teams run there. You can no longer see the enemy team. You fight through waves of dinos. You kill them in the area, and that's done. When you're finished, the guy tells you whether you're killing them slower or faster. You can see the enemy silhouettes. Go to the next event. Waves of dinos, maybe a boss dino, maybe an event, something like that. After you kill them, then you go to the third one. Another wave of dinos, big boss dino that will probably run away from you while you are being surrounded, whether it's a T-Rex, a Triceratops, an Ankylosaurus, like whatever. He'll throw something at you that's hard to kill, or it'll run away and you have to chase it. So after that's done, you have finished your entire thing, and you get points based on whether you're ahead or behind. And if you're behind, he will give you more tools to fuck with your enemy, which goes into the next phase, stage 2, escort time. You have to escort a cube to the end, and you start off far away, but as you get closer to the cube, the map starts merging together in alleyways so that you can see the other team.
Oh, wow.
Now it's time to start fucking with the other team. If you are behind, you have to attack them. Now, if you're behind, you can get the Dominator first. Dominator lets you pull a dino out of the dimensions and use it to attack your enemy. You become the dino. I was a Carno, and I proceeded to rip apart the other team, which is a lot of fun because they're busy trying to attack you, defend themselves, and kill the big dino that's attacking. So then you escort it to the end, you upload it, and that's
so
the
what
end of
happens
that game.
to your regular, like, do you have to go hide in a corner, or you just
disappear? You disappear into the dino, so your character.
You don't have to worry about your main body dying. You're now the dino.
Yep, exactly. You are now the dino. So that's fun. Pretty cool gameplay. They said that part is going to be optional in the full game. Like, you can do PvE style, or you could do PvP style. You can do endless waves. You can do infinite mode, things like that. So you don't have to do the PvP part. You can do the PvE side of it entirely, which is cool. So I thought that's how the entire game played. I was like, oh yeah, that's cool. My third game, we finished the first little event, and the AI guy decided to go, you've been selected for a special mission, and teleported all 10 of us to a new battleground, which was like this Tron style zone, and was like, you will now work collectively with the other players, and it is now a 10-person PvE mode. He proceeded to spawn a metric fuck ton of dinos to attack all of us. I mean, at one point, it's like, I will now overwhelm you with, it was like 2,000 raptors, and they proceeded to pour off the cliffside. I mean, pour off the cliffside, just
I
constant
wish I would have
barrages.
gotten to see it. Like, we wanted to play it, and Chicken's like, everybody download it. We're playing it tonight. And we all downloaded it. And of course, like, by the time that we could sit down and play it, which is our normal time to play games, it had been 30 minutes after they closed the servers for the test. It's like, I wanted to see the 2,000 dino.
I will, like, I could see it so clearly because it's a giant wall, and they just, like, portals opened up all over the top, and they were just pouring off. I was like, good God, that's a lot of dinos for 10
But you know
people?
what? But that's the thing is, like, they kept promoting this game, like, there were like 3 different times or 4 different times during that week that I saw the game, and I was like, okay, I am not interested in this because it doesn't. I honestly don't know what it is, but now I'm a little bit more excited about it now that somebody's actually played it and can explain it. But it's like, they're trying to explain it, and they try to explain it different ways, and it's like, I have no idea what this game is, and it's just like, I don't think anybody's going to want to play it. But now, because of the open beta, that's going to change.
As you level up, you get equipment for your mechs too. You can change your upgrades and things like that. You do more damage to dinos, do bigger damage to dinos, things like that. So that's really neat. You couldn't do anything but play the game. Nothing else was available. No profiles, no chests, nothing at all. So I was like, okay, that's cool. We just play the bare minimum
Basically
game.
a server test.
Yep, and I was like, all right, cool. But after, like, we got through all of those raptors and whatnot, and the final test was you had to fight a Neo T-Rex, which Neo is like the plasma style, and that motherfucker was big. And it is a full environmental mechanic style. This thing had like giant purple blobs sticking off of it and had laser beams and shit like that. It would walls would pop up and you'd have to get behind them, or it would pull you in with its like graviton thing, and you would explode. It had a giant laser beam which it would shoot at you, and you had to jump over it, otherwise you die instantly. Like, you had very specific mechanics that you had to do while fighting this thing, and it had so much health. So
when you were talking about earlier, like, to where you had the escort mission, and you were able to become the dinosaur, what happens after that? Because obviously there's a PvP option too. Is that the only part of the PvP part of that, or is it like eventually
your people could fight? Like, the 2 teams of 5 will fight in the battleground.
But I guess you just get points based on how many kills you make that are on there. Like,
you have to kill their cube while they're escorting it so that they stop and get overwhelmed while you escort your cube. Your pretty much job during that part is to stop them while escorting yours too.
Okay.
It's like in Overwatch where you have the push and pull style, except it's 2 push, and you have to stop them. Whatever necessary, because like I said, as you get closer to the end, you get closer and closer to the other team. I lost every single one of my games because my team just wasn't very good. We kept getting smashed. I would snipe people and I was doing damage, and I usually end up with one of the higher scores, but the other team was just better. So, but I like that you have the option to not do that, or you have the option to do unlimited or do different modes and things like that. Having different variations to how you want to play the game. It's $60 though, which is like, oh, that's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot. I would do 40 for that game. 60 is kind of pushing it for me.
Especially with the game sounding almost sounds like a regular free-to-play game.
Yeah, it does.
I mean, I'm glad if it's $60 and they're going no microtransactions, but that's not going to happen.
Oh,
There's
no,
still
not
gonna
in
be
this game. Yeah, this game is way too open for microtransactions. The customization on the mechs and all of that stuff, like, that's just perfect storm for something like that. So, surprisingly, it was a lot of fun, and I've got my eyes on it now.
Yeah. Does it have a release date, or
Yep,
is it
couple
just
of weeks.
okay? Oh, that's right. We talked about that after the thing went down.
Yep. It releases July 13th, I think it is, July 14th, just a couple of weeks.
Man.
They might do, if they're smart, they'll do one more open test
so we can play
to build up a little bit more hype right before release, and then release the game.
What was the name of that game again?
Exoprimal.
Exoprimal.
Primal.
Yep.
Primordial is what I was going for, but I think that'd be. I don't think that would be a good idea.
like I said, like I went in not knowing pretty much anything other than like dinosaurs in it, and I was like, wow, this game is a lot of fun. If I had to pick one game it's close to, it'd be Killing Floor.
It will be game. I'm sorry. Day one on Game Pass. Is my brain needed to translate what I was
That's
trying to say.
huge right
Maybe
there.
we put our Xbox
Is
stuff
it
up for
cross
$1.
play though? No, because if I want to buy that game, I want to own it and I want it on Steam.
Well, I bet so that we could
so that I
test
can
it
have full
out.
access. I've already tested
Well,
it.
but we didn't. You got to see if the
So
rest
that's
of
on
them-
you. That's on you. I don't want to have to level my characters up and then go and level them up again somewhere else.
Yeah, but well, I don't blame you on that one. But it is where if it's $60, but you can get it for $1 and play it for an entire month.
Yeah.
You know,
didn't they? They're taking that away, aren't they? Yeah, they're taking the $1 thing away.
was
Are
that part of
they?
their new increase?
Yeah. They're not
But
doing
I like
the $1
that.
trial. Yeah, I know, right? That's part of the reason people would do the $1 trial, play a brand new game, and then not buy anymore.
Yeah. Well, can't blame us for using the thing that was given to
They're
us.
losing the console wars if you haven't heard, so they need to make up the money somewhere.
But that does conveniently go into news stuff, so yeah.
True.
Did you want to talk about
do
the
we
news
wanna
stuff?
hold-
Was there anything else?
Do we want to segue into that, or do
Yeah,
we want to
yeah,
hold
yeah.
that till last?
Oh,
Okay.
that's
Well,
whatever
I
y'all
mean-
wanna do.
Because it's going to be a long talk. That's the reason I asked.
Yeah, I'd probably say go with that one because the other two things are pretty mediocre,
Okay.
and this one we can use most of the time for.
That'll
Okay.
work. Works for me. So as we've kind of brushed on this before about the fact that Phil Spencer had come out in an interview and made the statement that they've lost the console wars when it comes to Xbox because the Xbox One didn't do as well as the PlayStation 4 did, so they had lost it. And we had kind of talked about it. Now I can't remember if we talked about it on the show or not, but we talked about the fact that that's probably going to be their legal defense. And the current hearings are going on right now with the FTC about this. And sure enough, that's their legal defense. is we lost the console wars. But we did get some numbers on that. They said they added Xbox only has a 16% market share and trails with 21% of the console revenues and shares of consoles currently in use by gamers. So you figure you've got 79% of gamers are not using the Xbox if you want to look at it the other way around.
Which is why I respect Microsoft for going like, fuck that, let's just make games and get them everywhere as we can so that people will play our games.
Yeah.
I'd be
So
interested
that we're still
to see
making
what the
money
percentage-
somewhere, right?
Yeah, I'd be interested to see what the percentage of playing Microsoft games are versus consoles, because consoles not very effective. I bet Sony's is a lot closer since they have so many exclusives.
Yeah. Well, I don't have numbers on that, so
Yeah, no, I don't think they have the numbers either. But
you guys are usually the Googlers.
The main thing on that too is that was kind of a big deal to hear them come out and say that actually in a courtroom. And of course, this is this is part of the reason we're getting Activision Blizzard. You don't have to worry about us doing some type of exclusivity with Call of Duty or anything like that, because this is our way of trying to be competitive, but we're not going to necessarily do an exclusive on something like that because we'd be shooting ourselves in the foot, showing 75%, basically 75% of the market are potential users for the biggest franchise currently in gaming. And so I think it's going to be interesting too, because what we found out through this too is Jim Ryan, who is I think he's the CEO of Sony.
former CEO of
former
Sony Entertainment.
3 or 4 days before they purchased Bungie, they found an email, and the email stated that this move was being made. They felt from Sony's point of view that this was not being made for an exclusivity. This was being made because they saw a bigger picture. They had the cash and they needed to make the move.
Yeah.
But Sony's argument is the exclusivity one now. It's like, no.
No,
you
it's
can't.
not. It's not.
Yeah.
They will be fine regardless. And if Sony really wants to make sure they've got a competitor to
Call of Duty.
Call of Duty, They need to do like a new game on Steam has just basically picked up and exploded. And Sony could have done this at any time. It's the Battle Bit Warframe. It's that Battle Bit game.
Isn't it just called Battle Bit? Maybe it's
it
not.
might be Battle
I don't
Bit.
know.
It's something like that on Steam, but it blew up, and I mean it has blown up, huge. It's $15 for a huge game, so everybody is playing it because it's the shooter game to play right now. So
I can't handle the graphics.
some people can, some people can't. People can't play Valheim. People can't play Minecraft.
Yep.
So to each their own. But people who want to play for the gameplay specific are like, this is like the best fucking shooter out there. It's got everything you need from it. So short of graphics, don't let the graphics scare you.
Don't let the graphics.
I think that's part of the deal too, though. With Call of Duty, a lot of people that are Call of Duty fans enjoy the realism that goes along with that. But it doesn't mean they don't play other shooters too. It's just I think that's why they continue to go back to Call of Duty.
I think that's part of it, and I also think there's no competitors to it. Like no game feels as good as a shooter as Call of Duty until recently, because the mechanics for that game are like down packed. Watching it, it's like whenever you're watching down scope, it's like, wow, that looks like a Call of Duty game, and then they zoom like go back to normal. It's like, oh yeah, square hands, totally Call of Duty.
It's the Xbox, the original Xbox Call of Duty.
Yeah, there you go.
I think it's more like if Call of Duty and Roblox had a baby.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, and we've talked about it before. How do you make a game? How do you make an indie game blow up? Is make sure that the gameplay is solid and let word of mouth take it.
Mm-hmm.
And it has. Like, here you go. Some company, some little game made by 3 people is blowing up to like almost Call of Duty levels. It's like, okay, that's how you do it. Sony, you can do it too. You've got a lot of money. You can either buy this one or make your own.
Well,
but the problem I think you're going to have is Sony purchase it for something like that. You're going to end up having to where they destroy whatever it is, because the advantage to having those 3 people is the fact that those 3 people knew what they wanted out of it.
Yeah, they didn't have a bunch of investors they had to please instead.
Yeah, Sony's got to justify the purchase.
Yeah.
Well, Sony did just buy Destiny or Bungie, so I mean, like,
yeah.
They've got a company that is fully capable of making great shooters.
Well, which I think that's the reason Marathon's going the route it is. Sony's actually wanting 10 games with service in the market by 2026, which is part of the reason that they purchased Bungie, because they want to have them help do it. So for that $3.6 billion that they paid for Bungie, they're trying to, again, look for a way to justify that investment. And that's why Bungie's able to stay independent when it comes to the rest of their games and stuff like that. They have capital to work with, and they're helping Sony work with other things. But I think that's why Marathon is not like Marathon. Marathon is a game that obviously looks like it's going to end up being a game with service of some sort.
Oh yeah, it's going to be a always online battle royale style.
Mm-hmm.
What, Marathon? It's going to be an extraction shooter.
Or sorry,
like,
extraction shooter.
Escape from Tarkov.
Yeah.
You know, thinking about it, consoles don't have many like games as service games. They usually come from PC onto consoles. Because usually when you think of consoles, you think of like good exclusives or multiplayer style games, not as like long-term service games.
I think you'll have some, like Sea of Thieves, of course, is both.
Yeah, it's a hybrid.
Right, but it's not a console game. It's, PC and console. Same thing with Fortnite, started on PC, moved to console. Like Call of Duty started on console, bigger PC market, still on console.
PUBG.
Well, the PC market gets a lot of extra leverage because most people that want to be serious about a shooter want to play with mouse and keyboard.
Yeah.
So
I have seen that video going around. It's a kid who's like 10 who's absolutely slamming people on Apex Legends.
Oh my god!
But all the comments are like, "Look what he's playing with, aim assist." It's
okay.
Stop playing with aim assist and show, actually do it, because aim assist is just giving a huge advantage.
I will say it does give an advantage, but even I have both a soon to be 12-year-old and an 8-year-old. That 10-year-old's impressive.
Oh yeah,
that's the way I look at it. In that respect, is like
no doubt. But again, if you put them on a keyboard with somebody else at 10 who's been playing with a keyboard, the skill is going to be different.
If they're at the same skill
Yes.
set for their level, yes.
Yes,
I agree
then
with that.
it's going to be different. Which is okay, and I don't want to get into this whole argument, is you're going to have to separate the competitive side of things, controllers, mouse and keyboards, because you're not going to be on an even playing field with the two separate tools to play with.
Well, but they only, at least in the videos I've seen, I've only seen the kid in the shot. And so I've not seen the competitors. So I can't say that the competitors didn't have control.
He's in tournaments, so I think they're open to both.
They might be.
Yeah, like if it's open to both, okay, I get it. I see where you're coming from. But that's going to start creating tension, How the hell is he tracking me like that? Which it's aim assist, it's what it does. But it will come to a point where you're going to have to differentiate between the two. Controller versus controller, which is fine. Or mouse and keyboard versus mouse and keyboard. Because I think for Valorant and CSGO, it's only mouse and keyboard. There is no controller style for that game, for those games.
No, there's no available for them. But they're specifically designed that way too, though.
Yeah, exactly.
And you cannot, in my opinion, you cannot be precise enough with a console controller.
Like not in those games. Like, because they'll never put in aim assist in those style games ever. And if you ever try to use a controller in those style games, you will lose like 99 out of 100 times, because those games are so damn precise. My brain doesn't work fast enough to do that.
We're too old for that now. Come on.
No shit.
If you're not like 15 to 18, you're too old. You're ancient. Get out of here.
Yeah. You're way out of the
Take
market
your seniors
now.
discount and go.
Yes.
Well, we strayed pretty far from the main point of that. Is there anything you want to bring it back to on that?
I mean, the whole exclusive thing and Sony trying to find something to compete with Call of Duty. If they lost it, they can. There are a lot of options out there, and they've got more than enough money to. And they even the email says that wasn't even the problem either.
Yeah, the exclusivity not the issue. And then, of course, they're like, nope, let's not talk about that right now.
Well, one of the things that gets brought up, too, is Microsoft purchasing of Bethesda is getting brought up in all of these hearings. And when they brought Phil Spencer in, one of the things he stated in it was because of the fact that Sony had been purposely paying people not to launch their game on Xbox, then they made the decision to buy Bethesda because they had heard through the grapevine that Starfield was going to be a PlayStation exclusive, which for all those people out there that were upset that PlayStation is not getting Starfield, keep in mind, this is just desserts. I honestly think had they just made the decision to buy Bethesda, it would be on both consoles. But because they were purposely trying to keep that from happening,
Microsoft's like, well, we're going to take our ball and go home then.
Yep.
We're going to buy your ball and go home.
Well, we're going to buy the community ball and go home, and it's no longer a community.
Exactly.
And
I mean, that's pretty big when it comes out that Sony is purposely paying other companies to make it so that they skip your console, and then Microsoft goes ahead and just buys the company and tells you to fuck off.
Yeah, I mean, like you were telling them the same thing. It was just that you didn't want to commit to buying the whole company. They did, I guess. They did that whole talking with their wallets thing. So,
Yeah. So, that's pretty fucking huge. And Sony, another argument that Sony is making, which this is the other side, like the other big topic, and I have a hard time believing that this is one of the big topics, but that the deals that they're making out there, the exclusive deals or the deals to make sure that other consoles get their games, Sony is arguing that Nintendo doesn't count as the big console. Like, they're not in the same boat as Xbox and Sony. And it's like, seriously, Sony? Nintendo helped you make the original PlayStation way back in the day, and then they backed out, and you went ahead with it, and they're still making consoles. You want to call them not a competitor?
Yeah.
Like, that's
Nintendo
pretty
is just
low.
sitting over there the whole time going, man, it sucks that they're fighting. And then Sony's like, Nintendo doesn't count. And Nintendo's like, excuse me?
We're older than you by a long time.
Well,
We've made more consoles than you.
I think here's the thing too is it's almost the same mentality that when people were dealing with the regular console wars back in the Xbox 360, PS3 days. You had a lot of people that were dealing with content, but then you had other people with the power of the machine.
Mm-hmm.
So when Switch came out and the machine's not as powerful as the new generation was in the other two consoles, they felt as though that no longer counts. Or it could be, and I don't think this is what it is, but it could be, I'll give Sony the benefit of the doubt. It could be to where they're looking at it and they're going, Sony doesn't count because Nintendo doesn't count because we all love Nintendo. Right? But I don't think that's the argument you're trying to make.
Yeah.
I think
I think like thinking about it from that argument, I think it's because it's like people are going to buy Nintendo. Sony, you can't compete with them. Microsoft, you can't compete with them. You're both second place to them.
Yeah.
Like everybody's going to buy a Nintendo console and then one of the other. I'm sorry that your competitor, you're the one that you're not counting, is beating both of you like easily, and then they have to choose between second place. So yes, Nintendo is number one, and Sony's number two, and Microsoft's number three. I'm sorry you want Nintendo to not count because they're winning so much.
Meanwhile, PC is just sitting over there minding their own damn business because they're getting the best of both worlds for the most part.
Pretty much. Like,
but I mean,
our
even
biggest
then,
thing is
PC
Epic or Steam.
Yeah, well, but PC gamers still have to buy a Nintendo.
Yeah,
Yep.
PC gamers do. We've got a Switch out there.
Oh,
They
yeah,
still
I
have
got
to
a
buy a
fucking
Nintendo,
Switch.
but when it comes to the other games, now because they're moving over to PC, it's not that big a deal. And even if it's not, like some of the Sony games don't get moved over, or at least currently aren't getting moved over. If that's the case, nobody can justify buying the new PlayStation just for a few games.
Yep.
I think
Most of the time, we just
I wonder
wait
if that's
until they
what
move 'em
scares
over.
Sony at this point, is the PC market has become a bigger flex player, really. And so they're like, well, we still have Uncharted over here. You guys are gonna have to come over here. We got God of War over here. You gotta come buy your PS whatever 17. Come get it.
That's why they're making a deal with Epic, or Epic. The
Yeah,
Epic
well, that
store
is where
to send their
most of
games
their-
specifically
yeah,
over.
most of their
But then they come to
first
Steam
party.
anyway.
Yeah, you just gotta wait for it. So
Yeah.
And then usually it's on sale.
Yeah, exactly. Square Enix, the ones who make Final Fantasy 16.
Oh, I
the
finally
director.
got to wishlist my Saints Row. It doesn't have a release date for Steam, but it's on Steam now as a
Hell yeah.
listing, so I can wishlist it. And I bet you're
August.
right, Oak. I bet it comes out on sale,
Yeah, I bet it'll. Oh yeah.
and then I'll play the shit out of it. Even if I hate it, I'm playing the whole goddamn game.
Oh yes, for sure. But that's always the thing, because even the director of Final Fantasy 16 was like, "All right, cool, we've released it. Next objective, get it out on PC."
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, Sony pays for the exclusives right out. Hello, FTC. Sony buying exclusives, making it skip everywhere.
Yeah.
And then they're gonna start releasing it everywhere. Like,
I mean, I
straight
guess
to the
Sony's
PC.
argument is, well, it's different because we didn't buy the whole company. We just bought the exclusive rights to this game, and we consistently buy the exclusivity rights. But we didn't buy the company.
They're just following Epic's same fucking pattern. Because Epic does the same thing. They buy exclusive, they invest in the company, then they bring their game to their console.
Platform.
Or to their platform. It's literally the same thing, except you have Steam, which is like, bring it on. Every doors are all open. Bring it on. And when you're done over there, Epic spending money, you guys, all of you can bring it on over too. All the doors and windows are open. Bring it in.
Yeah.
We've got it everywhere. And
Well-
most companies are like, cool.
Well, and I think it's just to put context into them saying buying Bethesda the first time. You had Ghostwire and Deathloop were the two games that were exclusivity that were from Bethesda, well, from ZeniMax in general, that were part of this issue, and it continued to be part of the issue. And you've got one of the major players, which at that time Bethesda was, and still can be. Let's hope
see.
Starfield's good. But and they still have their Elder Scrolls Online and all that stuff going on too for them. But I think I think this is where it was necessary to change the dynamic, and I think that it's they paid $7.5 billion for ZeniMax, and they're willing to spend almost another $70 billion just to get the rights for the software. These aren't even people, hardware wise. And you were talking about Sony being worried about the fact that their consoles, everybody loses money on their consoles to start with. It takes them 3 years to make profit on a console. The last thing I would be worried about is that.
No shit.
They've figured out, hey, we can make money doing this, but you got to have enough games to have the service they have currently for their cloud gaming. They have to have enough out there, and the only way they're going to be able to guarantee those games is to own the companies they're trying to do it with. Where Sony, they own a lot of game companies too. It's they have 2 games right now, and for the longest time we couldn't figure out what the second game was, but it's Destiny, because we don't think of Destiny being Sony, but
it is. You
got a baseball game and you have Destiny, and that's it. That's the only 2 things that are on Xbox right now. So it's like, I don't know. This is I'm interested to see. It is worth stating on this deal too that what's currently going on right now is whether or not the acquisition should be blocked until a full hearing can be done on August the 2nd. Microsoft has hinted at the fact that if it does get blocked, they might walk away from the acquisition. So it's going to be interesting to see on that one. Because think of all the lawyers' fees just from all these cases.
Well,
I think
honestly, Activision Blizzard would honestly panic if that's the case. Because I think they had already put their eggs in the acquisition basket and started making plans for, I'm retiring and I'm going to do this because I will no longer be, I will no longer have to do this shit. And yeah. And a lot of their shareholders are probably like, things are going to look up for us if we're owned by somebody else because we have such a friggin' bad reputation right now. Nah,
knowing what I do about the gaming world and everything that is coming out in these articles, I am leaning towards the acquisition being okay, and Sony, it's not that big of a deal for Sony. No. And it's not like the cloud gaming argument. No. They even had Google come up and explain why Stadia failed. There's no market. There's
just not enough interest in it.
Right. You got one of the largest companies in the world that owns one of the largest media companies in the world that was promoting it on their YouTube actual site and still couldn't make it work.
Yeah.
It's not there. Cloud gaming is not there yet. Just like VR. VR is bigger than cloud gaming. And VR is small still. It's a fraction. Yeah. Cloud gaming is not anywhere near any sort of tangible market yet. So that argument is just in the wind.
Yeah, like in our house we'll use it a lot, but the reason we use it is because my kids are playing games that allow for it to be very steady, and I've got good internet. But it's like it is very steady, and because they're playing something like a Peppa Pig game or they're playing a Disney game or something, right? Like it's something that's not
really intense. It's not meant to run
old school Flash games where you pull up a browser and you're playing a Flash game.
It's not that service is not meant necessarily designed or capable of handling your really really big heavy graphic stuff with open
4K
worlds and
cyberpunk.
Yeah,
that ain't gonna happen.
Oof. Yeah.
Yeah, I know, right? You need a big internet stream for that.
Yeah.
You need like a river, internet river.
I just don't think that all of the other amenities are in place yet for that to be for real.
Yeah, and all the things Sony is doing behind the scenes to kind of cut Microsoft's legs out from under them too. Like, I get it. It's business. But you crying wolf is not going to work here. At least I don't think so. It doesn't feel like it's working here because
I don't think it's doing you any favors. That's for sure.
No. And I mean, with as much controversy as Activision Blizzard has had, this might be for the best. Like they need to. Sure. I mean, even if they have to end up selling off some assets or breaking off and splitting up and things and sending them to different, letting them become independent again. Like
Microsoft should just buy Call of Duty. The rights to Call of Duty, and the studios, the 3 studios that make it, and that's it. Just pull it out. Because that seems to be the big argument. And that seems to be the problem. Just be like, well, we can't own all this other, so we're just going to buy this for less.
Yeah.
You know, come on. Because I think it was actually the UK market. It was CMAs that told them that if they broke it up, that they wouldn't have a problem with it. And it's like, if you remove Call of Duty, we're fine. Okay, well, we'll buy that part. So dumb. So dumb. Anything else on that subject? We move on.
No, we can talk about something else.
Just,
we're about at an hour anyway.
Yeah, I was just looking through the rest of this.
Speaking of companies that don't matter,
Nintendo had a direct that literally no one watched because nobody cares, right? Right?
Everybody watched it. Like, even if it wasn't like.
But Sony said they don't care, and obviously Sony knows, or they don't count.
You shut up, Sony. For as lackluster as it is, I've heard nothing but good stuff from the people who watched it. They're like, "Oh yeah, it was really good. Like a lot of good, a lot of good presentations, a lot of good trailers, a lot of good games." Which it's okay. It's good stuff. It's Nintendo stuff.
I won't lie to you. I don't check into Nintendo a lot. I rely on Ollie telling me things. Like he'll post something, and I'll be like, "Well, if Ollie's posting about it, must be good." So thanks, Ollie.
A lot of times we're at work when these come out too, though. So
that's true. But he definitely keeps me in the loop, so I know what's important in Nintendo because of Ollie. Thanks for being our Nintendo correspondent, Ollie.
I did see. Okay, so that Mario and Rabbids is doing another game.
It's a DLC.
Ubisoft does this one. Oh, okay, it's DLC. I saw an article earlier about Ubisoft saying that they should have listened to Nintendo when Ubisoft came out and was like, "Well, we want to make another Mario and Rabbids game," and Nintendo was like, "You should hold off until the next console because stuffing too many of the same style games into one console life usually doesn't end it super well." And Ubisoft's like, "We're going to do it anyway," and it really didn't do super well.
Nintendo's
so Ubisoft's like, we should have listened to Nintendo. It's like, yeah, Nintendo's been doing this for a very long time. Like, they come out with a console, they stuff it full of tons of games, bring old games forward, and then just fill up the library as much as they can. And then they do a new console, do new releases of all of those franchises, and bring all the old ones forward. It's like that's how it seems like they're doing things. New console, new franchise entry, old games remastered and moved forward.
Oh, they did that with Pikmin, actually. Pikmin 4 got an announcement, and then the HD releases of 1 and 2 are also available. So, yeah, you're right. That's kind of their MO.
It's like they know what they're doing. It's like, yeah, we rebuild interest in the franchise, and we release the old ones for people to catch up. Boom. Like, I mean, Metroid is probably either going to come out at the end of this one, and then it's going to be re-released for the next one, just like they do with Breath of the Wild. They know how to release games.
They know how to double dip successfully.
Or they just know how to release games. They're just like, fuck it. Just hold on to this one, release it now, and if you don't want it, you can wait until the next one. So Nintendo knows how to do it. Oh, but they're not a real competitor.
They don't count.
Not to the other ones.
Count.
They just sell games and stuff.
Yeah.
They're not as powerful as us, so they don't count. Then why do you have a handheld that you announced?
I don't know.
You know.
Yeah.
Wasn't there a big Mario RPG announcement to go with this somewhere?
Super Mario RPG? Yes.
Yes, they're doing a updated remake of the original Super Mario RPG from the SNES era.
Yep. That one is going to sell.
Yeah, probably.
It looks really
good.
Good
To sell.
What's they also announced Cloud with underpants. That's cute.
I haven't played that one. I've seen a lot of people play it.
I don't know anything about it, but it's cute. Anyway.
But this one is super popular. This game right here is what Paper Mario was based off of.
And I want to say, and I stated this the other day in your Discord, and I can't remember if this is right or not, but I know that when they decided to pull out, when Square decided to pull out of the Final Fantasy, instead make toward make it a PlayStation exclusive because they were using a disk drive system for their next system. That this was kind of the leftovers from that, so there was still a RPG style game that was going to be on Nintendo. I want to say that's correct. On that
I think you're right, because this one was the Super Nintendo, and then Paper Mario, which was the spiritual successor to this one, was on the 64, and then the Thousand Year Door was on the GameCube, and then the next one was on the Wii. It's like they just come out with their ones for specific consoles. So since they lost that franchise, they were like, well, this is perfect. Let's just move on and create our own for each console generation.
Right.
Which is good because they don't oversaturate their own market. They bring in everybody else, like all the third-party stuff, and then they keep their franchises and their genres like good enough to float, and then they just pile on the everybody else's stuff. Nintendo is good at managing their stuff, and for Sony to disrespect them like that, I feel is a pretty low blow. They're both Japanese companies, so I think there's definitely been some tension over the years between the two, because I'm sure Sony tries to dip into Nintendo's market, but they just can't. Like Nintendo just does Nintendo.
It's a different market. Like, I mean, it's the reason it's so appealing to everybody, because it is for the casual gamer, but they've got lovable characters that we all love, like all grew up with.
Yeah, but even the casual gamers and the hardcore gamers will still buy a Nintendo console.
Oh yeah, 100%. But I think that it's just where your bigger, more powerful machines are built for people that, have $300 to $500 in their pocket that they can spend, but they don't own a PC, so they don't have enough money to pay for a PC that can run the stuff they're wanting, the newer stuff. So they spend $300 to $500, that goes back to the loss part of of the consoles. They're making money off the software, right?
Except I would have to guess that Nintendo's like the only one that recovers their console costs super fast.
With the exception of one of theirs, which would have been the Wii U.
Which would be the Wii U, but I totally get that. The Wii made up for that. Like, they lost a bunch, and it's like, okay. I mean, everybody knows that the CEO took a huge pay cut off of that one because it was his failure, as he takes responsibility for.
This is poor naming.
Yeah, it was. I would 100% agree. But the Wii U died to give us the Switch.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Like, and I called it too when they came out with that. I was like, watch the next console. It's just going to be able to take the little platform thing away, and this is what they wanted to do originally. But now, for some fucking reason, Sony thinks that the Wii U version is what we need, because that's what their little console thing is, like the little handheld. You could do it in your house. A little bit.
I'll tell you what it is. Like, it's one of those. It's their version of cloud gaming inside your own house.
Inside your house. Again, it's the Wii U.
But I mean, we already had that. Those of us that were those of us that had the PlayStation TV, I had this. Except it was attached to my television in another room, and it was a little bitty square and attached to it, and it played Vita games. You could put the Vita stuff in it.
There were Vita games?
Yeah, it played Vita games. I was like one of 12 people that bought the damn thing, I guess, but it was because it didn't last very long. But I liked it because it attached to my PlayStation 4, which I keep downstairs. It's easy for me to keep into my bedroom, and hide, and I could still game in there and just play the stuff. But yeah, I was the only person that played it, I guess. I don't know.
I'm pretty sure you were at least one of 12.
Yeah, one of 12. But I liked it. But it was PlayStation TV. It was cool. They also announced the new Super Mario Brothers, which is they're going back to the regular standard platforming on this one. I liked the variety. They're going back and forth on stuff. This one's Super Mario Brothers Wonder. The only thing I'm really excited about this is the fact that one of the mushrooms evidently makes him into an elephant. So you get Mario elephant. So
they got to keep adding random
stuff
to make it intriguing again.
It's cool too, because some of the, like, if you watch the footage of it, some of the pipes and stuff are like rounded and move different directions, and like, it's really neat. I was like, okay, I want to see how this mechanic works.
I definitely think that the Mario world has done super well coming into the 2.5D style of games. It like the 2D versions are good, and then the 2.5 just make it look that much better.
Oh yeah, definitely. Definitely. And I like the fact that they're taking their time and not trying to release another 3D version soon.
Yes.
You know, it's like,
Like,
they
to be
re-release some
fair,
of their old classics and then
you'll see the next Super Mario World in the next console, because Odyssey was just mind blowing.
oh, it's so
And
good.
the next one will be even crazier.
So good. So good. There was something else that I saw.
Oh, wow,
was
like
like-
what, he takes acid? What the fuck?
Okay then.
Watching the trailer is like, oh my god, why does the pipe move? It turns
Right?
into a snake.
I told you it's so
Oh,
weird.
Drugs.
Oh my god, why does he stretch?
Drugs are bad, okay?
Oh my, he eats the mushroom and he turns it and everything just goes crazy.
Too funny. Yes, it's one of those. It's one of those kind of mushrooms.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those games. Oh, that's why it's called Wonder, with the little magical waves.
There you go. For those, I have seen the footage of this when I watched the trailer of this one. I did not play the original, so I am not familiar with it. But that evidently was very fun to start with. But the original Wario game from like back in the day, this new WarioWare Move It is supposed to be really close to the way that one was. With the mini games and all that. So, I might end up getting that for the house just so one more thing to make one of my children cry when I beat them.
Nice.
One day they're
Nice.
gonna beat you, and when you're actually trying,
They
you
have.
will- Oh,
They have,
it's
and they're
already
poor
over.
winners. They're poor winners. You know,
What
and
do
it's
you
like
expect? What do you
I'm not a
expect?
poor winner. I've just turned around. You did a great job. Blah blah blah. And it's really hard to be a poor winner when your kid's like crying. You know, so it's like, you know,
You beat them so badly that they cried. Wow.
no,
okay.
they can lose by 1 point and they cry.
Oh, okay. See, ours
that-
is not old enough for us to have experienced this yet, so
Yeah, be prepared. Be
yeah.
prepared. I'm hoping yours is not at the same level as mine are on that one, but
No, if anything, if he's gonna be anything like us, he's gonna be like, all right, go again. All right,
Yeah.
go again. All right, go again. God
mine
damn,
is
kid.
trying to teach them that, like what was she playing the other day? My youngest was playing the Super Lucky, whatever it is. The little fox game that's on Xbox or whatever. Super Lucky Tale. That's it. She was playing that, and it's a 3D platformer. It's the same style as, you know, any of the Mario games, anything like that. And so she couldn't get past the part. So I just grabbed the controller and grabbed all the stuff and went back. And she goes, "Have you ever played this before?" And I was like, "No." And she was like, "But how did you know how to do all this?" And I was like, "Because I've been doing this for,
A
you
minute.
know,
a lot of years.
40 years."
A lot of years.
You know,
Muscle memory has been built into these hands
And
like
it's like,
no
I've-
other.
it's like the mechanics are the same as most of these style of games. You know, and she was like, "Oh," and then but she'll get frustrated because she's like, I can't." And I was like, "Stop saying that. Just say
You can.
And-
you just-
I need to try harder. What am I doing wrong? Analyze what's happening."
Yes. What am I doing wrong? How do I do this? Don't do the same thing. If you die doing it, try something else. Just try it again. Try it again.
Well, I mean, you
Keep
could die
trying
4 times in a row trying the same thing and just be like, "Okay, obviously this isn't the way to make this happen." You know, but now it's like, because the first time you might have, I don't know, not jumped far enough or hit the wrong button, whatever.
But that's not doing the same thing. If you jump too far, okay, I need to be careful with my jumps. Or if you get too close, okay, I need to make sure I stay away from this guy. Always learn something whenever you die or whenever you have to restart your game. Learn, what did you do wrong? What got you killed? Don't do that part. Everything else that was working. It's literally like when I was playing Dragon's Dogma earlier. I was fighting a guy in big armor. I got too close. He killed me. Second time, he got too close again, and I jumped over him, and he killed me. So I was like, okay, I need to come at this at a different strategy. Got him the third time. It's all about adapting. That's also a life trait too. Adapting is super, super good. Games will teach you that. And here old people say games don't do anything for you.
Exactly. Last little bit. It was kind of a story, non-story, but one of those ones we're gonna have to watch.
Big
Which
surprise.
E3 2024 and 2025. there was word out there that it had been canceled, according to the Los Angeles Tourism Department. ESA, which is the people that own E3, have since updated that and stated that they are still working on E3 2024 and beyond. So
It's not happening.
Yeah.
We said this last year too about E3 2023. It's not happening.
One of the commenters on this one mentioned how the other events, just like from a perspective of people that watch it online, I mean, obviously it's different from people that would actually go to the show, but from watching the main E3 event online versus all of these individual events, you can't tell much difference. I mean, you're still getting all of the summer announcements as you would from E3, just without the E3 part of it. So really,
well, and it
who
goes back to what I
cares?
said before. When E3 was exclusively the industry and no fans going into it, so you could invite content creators, you can invite people that are actual journalists and all that stuff into it. It allows them to show stuff they wouldn't normally be able to show to the average person. So the average person can't tell the difference because they're being offered everything that was offered at E3 before, right? So it's like, give them some exclusives and make it worth their while. The big shows that they would have for Microsoft, Bethesda, Nintendo used to have their little treehouse. Remember, they had their
Yeah.
The Nintendo Treehouse.
they'd have all that stuff going on, and it made it an event worth watching. And at some point, it was no longer that.
yeah.
And when I really stopped caring was when they invited the general public. Because it was just like, okay, you're showing them everything you're showing everybody else. So
Yep.
I'll stick with PAX.
I mean, all the conventions are pretty much the same these days. Like, there's nothing really special about any of them anymore.
Now, I'm interested, though. PAX West is having Nintendo Live this year. It was part of our ticket, and I didn't even know it. I had to look it up. And it was an opt-in or opt-out type thing, and I don't know if I opt in, and there's no way for me to check. So I'm hoping it's on my ticket when it gets my badge when it comes in. But it's 3 days of going over to a different event near the regular convention and going in and playing video games and doing all that type of stuff there with Nintendo. Instead of Nintendo being on the main floor. I'm hoping they still have something on the main floor because they used to have one of the biggest booths. But I guess we'll see. But they are having something like that there, which is kind of E3 did that the last couple of years. They existed where they did the Ubisoft and EA had their stuff outside of the main floor.
So, without E3, where do we announce our consoles now?
Everybody's individual shows.
But
Well,
we haven't done that. We haven't done that yet.
It'll be the
Sony
video
will-
game.
Yeah, it'll either be at the Game Awards or Sony will announce at Summer Game Fest because that's a Jeff Keighley event, and Microsoft does their own thing, so Microsoft will announce at theirs.
Yeah, but they need like a big event. Something.
Then it'll
like,
be the Game Awards, like Oak said. It's the biggest event left. And honestly,
But that, like, to
somebody
me,
needs
that doesn't even
stop.
feel like worthy of announcing a console.
But it's because there's not anything that's worthy, I guess, anymore. Everything is either you're going to a con and it's something like, PAX or whatever.
Not worthy.
That's not a big deal. Or you're watching everybody's individual shows, or you're watching something like the Game Awards or Summer Game Fest, which both are.
You would
Jeff
have
Keighley.
to invite them. It has to be somewhere where you can have that stadium feel. That
Yes.
was what made because not only you haven't announced the new games that go along with it. You haven't announced what makes this different than the last console to convince to do it, and that was the thing. Them standing up, and there's not enough time at the Game Awards thing.
Exactly.
I mean, I just don't think there's an event that's gonna house something like that anymore. You're not gonna like resuscitate EA's dead carcass not EA, E3's dead
E3's
carcass long enough to do surprise pop up E3 in 2025 for all the new consoles. Okay, it's dead again. Nobody's gonna do that.
I think Nintendo could get away with doing it on their own Nintendo Direct thing, like making it a big deal. This is the Nintendo Direct. Advertising it, hyping it up, getting it ready. Maybe doing a teaser for a Nintendo Direct so that people are getting ready for it. And I'm not entirely sure what Sony could do, and Microsoft, like even Microsoft. Well,
there's one I just thought about. Gamescom.
I mean,
yeah,
yeah.
you could do that.
That's a massive one.
if Microsoft buys Blizzard, they could do it at BlizzCon,
BlizzCon.
which would be huge. It's a big event.
I don't know that
It
I'd
is.
do.
None of those people at BlizzCon care about a console.
None of those people there at BlizzCon care about Activision either, but they still try to stuff their stuff in there too.
But I mean, I think
I
that's
think
where the misstep comes, though.
Yeah, but I mean, but like when you went to, our friend Maldus used to go every year to BlizzCon, and it was all exclusive, the Blizzard side of that company.
Mm-hmm.
So I still think if they take it, that if they're able to get this acquisition done, I still think they separate Blizzard and Activision.
Oh God, please.
I think that because you want Blizzard to be able to run on its own entity, and then
Activision Blizzard probably should have taken some hints when they started trying to put Call of Duty stuff in BlizzCon, and nobody cared. It's like, that's the wrong... You guys, just because you own that company doesn't mean that you share the same, users, the same player base. Somebody that's, a diehard WoW fan is not necessarily going to be like, oh, I'm going to go check out the Call of Duty booth and pick up my new Call of Duty game because, literally WoW's the only game they play. They don't care. Stop trying to force it. So I don't
even then,
think...
if they're an old school fan of any of their stuff, because most of their stuff is, you got an RTS, you have the only first person shooter is going to be Overwatch, which technically you're not really competing against yourself with Call of Duty because it's got a different feel to it, but at the same time, it's one of those where, like, why would you cross promote that way? That's weird.
Well, I just don't think that that's an event that you would announce the new console at.
Yeah, not
I don't think most of your
Microsoft
people
centric.
at that event would care at all that you were doing that.
Like, I just don't know where anybody like I said, Nintendo's
I
the only
think they
one,
do
but
their
everybody
own
else-
thing. Like I said, Microsoft and Sony both have their own little pressers that they like to do, and I think you do it around the same time, like they did this year, so that it feels like E3 week anyway. You just put them all around the same time and do your own thing, and that's going to be about as much as you're going to get out of it at this point.
Yeah,
you
just
could.
not enough hype for something like that these days.
Well, Gamescom is in August, and you've got all of Europe that has that available to them.
Yeah.
And there's like 300,000 people that show up to that one, so it's
I think that's your only other big choice.
Yeah, that's
You
your
either
E3
do that,
level.
or you try Game Awards, or you do your own event in the summer.
Which, I mean, to be honest with you, if they're able to get the acquisition, they're a big enough. Microsoft's a big enough company, but they could do their own con.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
If they want, do a 3-day con. Do it in Seattle because that's a big gaming community anyway, and that's where they're located out of. So do it there, and just I mean, I guess they could do it at the same time they wanted to as PAX West, just kind of piggyback off of it like Nintendo did.
Yeah.
This year, and we're gonna do big announcements. News on this, and this. Put like 5-6 different games that people might want news on, and and one big announcement or whatever, and see how many people go. It's just, I guess, but this might be a trial thing too, because this is the first time I remember somebody doing this, like what Nintendo's doing. So if it works out well, Nintendo could continue to try to do this, and get the other companies to come in and do the same thing.
yeah, true. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see where we go without E3 to be that stage for everybody. Because as far back as I can remember, when E3 comes up, everyone's looking and guessing if we're getting a new console, what are we getting announced, things like that. Now it's like everybody doing their own shows. It's like, oh, cool, what are we announcing? What games are we getting? We've never seen console announcements outside of E3 yet.
Yeah, we all had the schedules memorized.
Yeah, so
what time am I taking my lunch break for this weird one that's in the middle of the afternoon?
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see where we land without E3 being the center stage announcement style, because everybody wants to announce their stuff on top of each other. They don't want to be the one to announce last,
right?
Because then they're automatically behind the hype train. Oh yeah, that's cool, but have you seen this one? This one? Have you seen Microsoft's? Sony hasn't announced anything yet. Yeah, that looks cool and whatnot, but I'm so hyped about this one, and because then Sony announces theirs and Microsoft announces more games, and then Sony announces game, Microsoft announces more games. They're always going to be one step behind whoever announces second. So,
well, we'll find out. We'll find out in the next few years. So,
definitely. Anything else?
No.
We do appreciate everybody that hangs out with us every other week at Infinite Respawn. You can check us out on Twitter if you want, but we're not really there anymore. I am. You can check me out at MDB Oak Tree if you look at there. Make sure though, at the bottom of the underneath, we've got the sub button. We've got the little bell button. Make sure you click both of those. Hit the like button, of course, and then also there's links to the Discord that we all like to chat in about video games and all that. So make sure that you check out those as well. Also go to twitch.tv/EliteChicken313 because when the fall comes around, this man's got some games he's got to play because he's got all these games that are out and he's got stuff he needs to do. So you'll get to watch him live then. Also go to twitch.tv/MDB Oak Tree. Also go to kick.com MDB Oak Tree as well. If you're a fan of Kick, I do some streams over there as well, and I'm checking out the platform right now. Still not sure if I absolutely care for it or not, but we'll see as it goes. But forever to Respawn, I'm Oak Tree.
I'm Grif.
I'm Chicken.
And he's Bucka, but he's not here. Bye.
Bye.
See you.
Please hang up and try again.